Brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Base and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and on issues that matter to you. For the record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd day of January 2019, and I want to say great day. Wish everyone a great day today. First of all, to the mayor of Rockhole, in the event that you didn't know that Rockhole has a mayor, yes, the mayor of Rockhole, Mr. Alan Moore, also known as Haha. Today is his birthday. I won't tell you how old he is, but I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Alan Moore this morning and wish him a happy birthday. The de facto mayor of Rockhole, Mr. Alan Moore. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I'm your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. Normally, that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. That is whenever she's not on vacation, and she hardly takes a vacation. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. You can WhatsApp us at our number for WhatsApp, 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And we want to remind you that you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. This morning we have a very, very important subject that we want to talk about. And that has to do with the iguana culling, and we're going to receive an update on the iguana culling project in the Cayman Islands. I think many of you who have had to deal with the issue of iguanas in your yards, especially those of you who do a little bit of backyard farming, not to mention the large-scale farmers as well. But yesterday I had, almost every day I go out into my yard and I look at my pumpkin vines and various things. And it was encouraging to be able to see the buds on the pumpkin and the pumpkin vine continuing to grow, because what the iguanas would do is they look for the soft part of the plants, and that's the part that they like to eat. So that running part of the pumpkin, the head of it, that continues to grow, they would nip that off. And it was so encouraging to look and see the pumpkin vines just running freely. So we have the pumpkin vines running in one direction, and we have the iguanas running in the opposite direction. I cracked a joke the other day that the immigration had a backlog of applications for asylum seekers because the iguanas now were applying for asylum. But I think they're getting smart now. I think that what they're doing is that they're no longer going up into the trees. They're staying on the ground and probably in the water. But we have seen the positive results of this culling, but what do I know about it? I can only speak about my backyard. So we're going to have Mr. Fred Burton, who's the head of the Terrestrial Resources Unit at the Department of Environment, with us this morning. He's going to be here with us for half an hour until 8 o'clock, and we're going to receive an update on the iguana culling project. Mr. Burton, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC, and thanks for having us on.
Okay, I'll throw the mic right over to you and get you to start talking about it. You heard me talk about, just my observations, in relation to just my yard. And I'm sure that there are many other persons out there who can speak positively, of the results that we've seen so far as well.
Well, it's encouraging to hear what you've been observing, OC. And in my own backyard, I see more leaves on the trees than I've ever seen for years. And it's nice not to see squashed dead iguanas all over the roads when you drive to work in the morning.
True, yes.
So yeah, from a sort of a perspective of what we see day to day, it looks like we've pretty much wiped them out, but we shouldn't be fooled by that.
Yes.
We reckon, we've counted almost 350,000 green iguanas into the landfill. That represents somewhere between a quarter and a third of the population that was there when we started back in late October. So we've got a long way to go. And I think what's clearly happened, and it's no surprise to anybody, is the easy-to-get iguanas that are close to roads and trails and in people's gardens and public places. Those have all gone. And so what's left now are the slightly more remote places where the iguanas aren't quite so concentrated. And if we wait long enough, they come out into these areas that have been cleared, but that's a slow sort of process. So it's got to the point now the cullers are having to go deeper in to find the iguanas. Yes. So the work is getting harder. The returns are getting slightly less. And we're basically into the serious phase of this cull. The easy days are over.
Yes.
So one thing that of course has happened is that instead of now 5,000 iguanas coming in every day to the landfill, it's more like 2,000 or 3,000 a day coming in. So we're into those diminishing returns, and we want to try and keep the momentum up because as I say, we've got a long way to go. So we're just about to launch now another recruitment drive for cullers. We're looking for hardworking, determined cullers who are willing to go out there and outsmart these iguanas and bring them in. And we originally recruited 350 cullers back in October. Not all of them actually engaged. So 90 or so never even turned in any iguanas, and we've got capacity to accept more cullers. So people who are already registered, you're fine. Just keep going, and thank you for the hard work you're doing. Yes. But if anybody else wants to get involved, now's the time. So we're going to open registration tomorrow, Thursday, at the landfill. So when you drive into the landfill, there's the public facility to the left where you can drop off your garbage, but on the right, just a teeny bit further on, is the green iguana reception site. So that's where the registration is going to happen this time round, and the cull manager is going to deal with that side of things. So if you're interested, make your way there, and it's going to be open to registration Thursday, Friday this week, and Saturday as well. Sunday not, and Monday's a public holiday. Yes. So then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week it will be open also. So there's plenty of opportunity to get down there and register. So anybody who's interested, please take advantage of this opportunity. We could use a bigger workforce out there now that the work is getting tougher. Okay,
now tell us about the bounty. Does that still remain the same?
That remains the same.
The formula, can you explain the formula to the public as well?
Yeah, so nothing has really changed. The bottom line is you have a quota, and we've dropped the quota. So the quota is a minimum number of iguanas you have to cull in a month in order to get a bonus. So if you don't up until when you get hit the bonus number, until you've got at least 200 in a month, you get paid $4.50 for every iguana you bring into the reception site. They must be brought in culled. They can't be alive. They can't be bound. They can't have been treated unnecessarily inhumanely. And the other big thing that we do emphasize, and we need to keep emphasizing, is the cull doesn't give the cullers any special rights to go onto private property. You have to ask the landowner's permission. We've had some issues about that, and I think I just want to remind everybody, permission is required. You are not forced to accept a culler onto your land. If you don't want to, you should be able to tell them no, and they are not authorized to override that. But anyway, so you bring in your iguanas. You get paid $4.50. If you make your quota at the end of the month, at the end of the next 2-week period, at the end of the month, you get paid an extra 25 cents retroactive. So you end up getting $4.75.
Okay.
But you also have an annual quota, and if you meet that by the end of this year, then you get an extra 25 cents retroactive right through the year. Wow, so you get a nice little Christmas bonus. And you end up getting $5 an iguana. If you go over your quota, that's fine. We want the iguanas, so you get your bonus and you get paid for the extras.
Okay. Now, speaking of permission to enter someone's property, now that the visibility is less in terms of iguanas, the sightings on the road and on some properties, what can those individuals who still see them in their backyards, but they're not themselves cullers or not in a position to capture the iguanas themselves, is there a system in place for them to be able to contact someone and say, listen, there are 2 huge ones in my backyard, in my mango tree or my breadfruit tree. Can someone come and get them?
Absolutely. So we have a list on the Department of Environment website. If you go to doe.ky, just a little bit down the front page, there's a big button, as it were, to get the list of iguana cullers who have expressed willingness to be called. And there's phone numbers and emails for a great number of cullers, and you can look down that list and see if there's anybody you know that you want to invite around to your backyard. Give them a call, give them an email, whatever works. And that's going to become, I think, increasingly important, because I think cullers will appreciate the tips, and you'll probably appreciate getting rid of the iguanas. Certainly
will. Now, we have about 3 minutes before we go to our first commercial break. What I've seen of iguanas, they certainly are not adverse to being in water as well. Are we finding now that most of them are retreating, or they're in the swampy areas, the bushy areas more?
This is an interesting question. They don't live in the water. They escape into the water. So if they're threatened, they jump in, but they always come back out again because they need to be on vegetation to find food to eat. But yeah, they're remaining in these more remote areas. But I think what's going to happen is what we're doing is we're putting this tremendous selective pressure on the population.
Yes.
If you're a bald iguana that likes to hang out where people are, you're dead. If you're a wimpy iguana that's terrified of everything and hides in the bushes, you're the one that's going to survive, and you're the one that's going to have babies. So, we've got a whole reproductive event coming up this year, and the genetics of this population may change, and their behavior may change with it. And that'll be a whole other challenge that we might have to deal with.
Yes. Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will continue to receive an update on the iguana culling here in the Cayman Islands with Mr. Fred Burton, who is the head of the Terrestrial Resources Unit at the Department of Environment. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas. Eleanora Eden Connolly, 1886-1942. Mrs. Connolly was a dedicated and respected health care provider for East End and North Side. From an early age, she had a passion for helping others. She was naturally gifted with healing hands. Granny Nora, as she was fondly known, prepared her own homemade medicine and remedies, which she shared with all in the community. During her life, she delivered more than 300 babies. She often left her own family for weeks just to stay with an expectant mother to ensure the safe delivery of the baby and provide appropriate postnatal care. Often there was no monetary or other compensation for her services, but she would say, "God blessed me with healing hands and knowledge, and I must do what I can to help others." She had 7 children of her own with her husband, Benoni Connolly.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years.
That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
It's 2019, and you know what they say, new year, new me.
Yeah, Bobo. For me, it's new year, new car.
For real? What you thinking of buying?
The new RAV4 from Vant Motors. It's one of the safest compact SUVs out there with enough room inside, which is good for my family and convincing my wife we need this. Plus, it's fuel efficient, fun to drive, and on top of that, it's on sale too.
Yeah, and I hear it's one of the best-selling SUVs on the market.
Cause you don't gotta spend more to do more. That's why I'm gonna get mine now, while they have a new stock to select from.
Do more in your RAV4. Save thousands on the all-new 2019 RAV4. Test drive yours today and see why the RAV4 is a best-selling SUV in Cayman. Available only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
My dad is the best. He was always there to protect me and guide me to be a better person. He helped shape me into the woman that I am today. But I was never prepared for the day that I had to protect and take care of him. It was terrifying and a total role reversal. But I will always be there for him like he was for me. When it comes to his medical care, I go where he always did, West Bay Pharmacy.
We know the difficulty of caring for elder family members. At West Bay Pharmacy, we can help assist you with caring for your loved ones by providing quality medicine and some of the most efficient home healthcare items possible. We provide precise calculations with your prescriptions to ensure your medical safety. West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health.
National Heroes Day is a time to celebrate our history, heritage, and be inspired for the future.
This year, we are honoring the people who pioneered the establishment of our first national symbol, the coat of arms, celebrating our journey to modern-day Cayman, and recognizing organizations who served our community for over 50 years.
The ceremony begins at 9 a.m. on National Heroes Day, Monday, January 28th, at Hero Square in Georgetown, with live entertainment and refreshments following the celebrations.
For more information, contact National Events at gov.ky or call 244-3612.
This National Heroes Day, Monday, January 28th.
Show your national pride
and celebrate Cayman
as we pay tribute to our national heroes.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record, with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Mr. Fred Burton, who's the head of the Terrestrial Resource Unit at the Department of Environment. First of all, so want to say thank you to Mr. Kenneth Bryan, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan, for ceding some of his time this morning to allow us this half an hour to be able to have this very important discussion with Mr. Fred Burton. There are 3 areas that we want to touch on before we conclude the discussion. We want to talk about Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, what are the challenges there? What, if anything, is being done there? Mr. Burton also is going to mention some new technology that they may be using in relation to controlling the iguanas. And we also want to talk about the ability of the iguana population, iguanas, to adapt to changing conditions, including weather conditions, as well as their encounters with human beings as well. Mr. Burton.
Okay, so OC, thanks. On the Sister Isles situation, it's a little different over there. If you went to Little Cayman, for instance, you could spend weeks and weeks and weeks and not see a single green iguana. So a bounty of $5 for that isn't going to motivate anybody. Right. But at the same time, if we don't keep on top of that situation, Little Cayman could look like Grand Cayman in no time at all in terms of the green iguana population. We're relying both on the Sister Isles and on, in both the Sister Isles, we're relying on volunteer community groups primarily to report green iguana sightings whenever they happen and to try to support and maintain a rapid responsibility so that there are people on standby who can go and actually try and do something about it. So in partnership with the Trust, there's this green iguana bigona thingy that happens on Little Cayman, and that's been surprisingly effectively, actually, in keeping the numbers down on Little Cayman. But we're very concerned that there is and has been now evidence of hybridization between the green iguanas that reach Little Cayman and the rock iguanas there, and that's a terrifying development. Yes. On the Brac, their numbers are higher, and DOV actually sends a team over there roughly every 3 months to work with the community group that is always active over there on the Brac to try and keep that population from getting any worse. The worst incidences on the Brac seem to be focused in the Spot Bay area around the old Alexander Hotel and in the airport area also. Okay. The problem on the Sister Isles is basically needle in a haystack stuff, right? So you have an iguana out there, and somebody sees it cross the road and they report it and you go there, but it's not on the road anymore and it's gone off into the bush somewhere over there, and it's just one iguana, and you could spend an awful lot of time searching that bush and not see that iguana. So we've been thinking hard and looking into ways to detect iguanas at low densities, and it's the same problem is going to start happening here as the iguana population shrinks, hopefully.
Are they territorial?
They have some territorial behaviour, but they're capable of living at very high densities. So it's not extreme like it is with rock iguanas, where they space themselves out because they're territorial. Yeah. In fact, if anything, they quite often cluster around resources. So if you can, I remember going through an area of forest in spots and then running into a bunch of curly bean trees. And suddenly there were iguanas everywhere because that's the one they want to eat, Yes. So they can be in clusters like that. But finding those places is the challenge. So last December we did a very interesting thing. We teamed up with a group at the University of Harrisburg who are experimenting using thermal infrared imagery on a drone for censusing snakes in prairies up in the US. And they're having some success. So we talked to them, and they agreed to pop down here with their drone and this thermal imaging camera they put on the drone. And we went to the Botanic Park, and we flew the drone over the Buttonwood Islands in the lake there at various times from dawn through till dusk and all the way through the early morning hours and the late evening hours. And my goodness, it's very interesting. The iguanas, if you do it at the right time of day, the iguanas shine in this thermal imagery. Wow. They really, really stand out. They're much hotter than the vegetation that they're resting on. So you can actually detect them. You can detect them from quite a distance. And we're looking very seriously at trying to invest in this technology because it will be useful right now on the Sister Isles. So here's the kind of scenario. We have the drone, we have the thermal imaging camera on it. So somebody reports an iguana crosses the road, we go there and immediately do the drone survey in a radius around there. And this now is going to enable us to spot the iguana. And then we go in and then we go into that exact spot,
area,
find the iguana and take it out.
Okay.
So that kind of approach is potentially going to really help us in these low-density situations. I think it's important to we're often asked, why can't we extend this bounty to the sister isles? And I think the answer is, of course, the bounty isn't enough to motivate people when the iguanas are so rare. But if we were to put a big bounty on the iguanas in the sister isles, then we're motivating people to bring iguanas from here and take them there.
Yes,
so we have to be really careful about that kind of thing. I think probably as time goes on and we get the population really reduced here in Grand Cayman, then things become more even, as it were, across the islands.
Okay, we have about 4 minutes left, so I want to give you an opportunity to repeat those important points and to get the message that you want to get across in relation to the continued culling.
Thank you, O.C. This is the main reason I'm here this morning, is we need to up the workforce for the green iguana cull. Yep. We're hitting diminishing returns. We need more people working hard on sleuthing out these iguanas and bringing them into the landfill reception site. So we're registering additional new green iguana colours starting tomorrow and running through Thursday next week. It's happening at the landfill at the iguana reception site. So Thursday, Friday this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, not Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Sorry, we're doing Saturday as well, but not Sunday, not Monday. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. Anybody who wants to do this, as long as they're Caymanian or they've got the right to work, okay? Turn up at the landfill, register with the cull manager there, and we'll get you your colour card and you'll be on your way. So we need colours, please. We do have a wait list, and we've contacted everybody on the wait list, but it's not restricted to that. Anybody else who's interested, please come and register this week, next week, at the landfill reception site. Yeah.
And your advice to those persons who are not cullers but are aware of where iguanas may be?
Get onto the Department of Environment website, www.doe.ky, and you'll find a link there to cullers who are willing to be contacted. It's a long list. Find somebody you want to call, give them a ring, give them an email, more than one if you want. And I'm sure they'll be happy to have the tip, and they'll be interested to come and get your iguanas.
Certainly. Still have a little more time left. Let's talk about the weather conditions. The cool weather, conducive to iguana culling or to the advantage of the iguanas?
At the moment, totally to the advantage of the iguanas. It's quite interesting when we look at the daily returns at the reception facility. Numbers drop every time the weather goes cold, and if it rains, they drop even further. But there's going to be a little change to that, I think. Come summertime, when the little hatchlings come out, I found one of the most easy times to catch hatchlings is early on a cold morning.
Really?
When they're just hanging on the vegetation, you can pluck them off like grapes. So there are going to be times when cold weather is actually an advantage. But at the moment, nah. The best times are the hot days, and that's when we get the biggest counts.
Okay, Mr. Burton, I want to wish you all the best in your endeavors, and I must again congratulate the DOE for the work they have done. And some people have said, "What took you so long?" But we've gotten there, and we've seen the impact. We've seen a huge dent in the iguana population.
Yeah, and credit to those cullers who are really going for it here. And we've got some people who are bringing good numbers consistently, and that's excellent work.
Okay. Thank you very much, folks. Please stay tuned. We're at the 8 o'clock news. When we return, the conversation will begin with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you so much, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
Access. Information. Your community. News and information. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service welcomes a Jamaican Constabulary Assistant Superintendent. CIG-TV's Donna Bush has the details.
Mr. Coleridge Minto of the Jamaican Constabulary Force was here as the keynote speaker for the Planning for Youth Success Conference held at the University College. Officer Minto is the Director for Security and Safety in Schools in Jamaica. While here, he gave a presentation to the students and teachers attending the conference. Now, an RCIPS press release explains that he began by speaking about the challenges faced by schools in Jamaica, the ways the police have been addressing them in partnership with the schools and students themselves, and the successes they've had. He ended his presentation by delivering an inspirational message to the students about how they can live up to their potential, using the story of his life as an example. He also visited police headquarters, where he met with the Commissioner of Police and other senior officers to discuss issues affecting both jurisdictions, local training opportunities, as well as best practices around community policing.
That's CIG-TV's Donna Bush. The Chief Officer's Choice Award for the Ministry of Human Resources and Immigration for November is Michael Woods, an information analyst at the Department of Immigration. Details from Radio Cayman's Shonda Gallego.
Michael Woods is being recognized for fostering effective communication. At the Department of Immigration, Mr. Woods is tasked with coordinating the maintenance and improvement of the department's IT system and infrastructure, as well as web page. One of his primary functions, to create solutions that arise at the department's IT system. Chief Officer for the Ministry of Human Resources and Immigration, Wesley Howell, said Mr. Woods is a key player with the development of both workforce opportunities and residency Cayman work and Customs Border Control Unit. He splits his responsibilities between the two entities and maintains a balance by communicating effectively between various stakeholders at many different levels. He is responsive to queries and ensures that all parties are informed when necessary. Mr. Howell said for these reasons, he selected Mr. Woods as the ministry's Chief Officer's Choice for November. Shanda Gallego, Radio Cayman News.
And the National Gallery is exploring the business side of art at a special workshop tonight. Jessica Ebanks is with the National Gallery.
So this will be a Business of Art lecture on intellectual property law with Sophie Peet, who is a senior associate at HSM IP Limited. So Sophie will examine how and when intellectual property in art is created and how it can be identified, protected, exploited, and enforced by the owner, whilst drawing from real-life cases and examples. So this event will be a great resource for artists and creatives in our community who are interested in learning more about how their work can be protected under these laws.
The event runs from 6 to 7:30 p.m. and admission is free. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, who will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Eileen McHugh. Priyanka Gandhi, the sister of India's opposition leader and a member of the country's preeminent political dynasty, has taken up a formal role in politics. She's been appointed as one of the general secretaries of the Congress Party and put in charge of the eastern part of the state of Uttar Pradesh. The Indian Supreme Court has granted bail to 4 men convicted of taking part in the killing of 97 Muslims during sectarian riots in Gujarat in 2002. The massacre in Naroda Patia was one of the worst to take place during a wave of communal violence in the state. Thailand has set a date for elections to restore civilian government nearly 5 years after a military coup. The Thai authorities say the country will go to the polls on the 24th of March. The power of a new administration will be limited by the constitution. Russia has again insisted it's not in breach of a key arms control agreement, which the Americans have threatened to quit. Moscow said the range of its new missile system remained below the threshold stipulated in the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Beijing says it doesn't know anything about the whereabouts of the Australian novelist Young Hong-jun, who's gone missing in China. Mr. Young, a critic of the Chinese government, hasn't been heard from since the weekend. The Supreme Court in Pakistan has overturned the acquittal of a man accused of stabbing a young woman multiple times for rejecting his advances. The judges ordered the immediate arrest of Shah Hussain for brutally attacking Khadija Siddiqui in 2016. BBC News.
Access. Information. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Tune in to Radio Cayman every morning at 7:20 a.m. for your daily weather update. Proudly brought to you by Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. With over 47 years of experience, they'll get the job done for you on time. Free estimate. Miller's Plumbing and Accessories. Call them at 949-4709 for a free estimate.
Eats Cafe Limited. They do it right with 3 restaurants and a diverse choice of tasty dishes. There's Eats Cafe, Yossi Sushi, and Legends Classic Grill. There's always something for everyone. Eats Cafe Limited, 30 years in Cayman, bringing you Radio Cayman CI Retro, Talk Today's special Cayman Islands Historical and Cultural Program Series. That's CI Retro, Talk Today, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman. And remember, you can catch the Super Bowl right here on Big Screen Television. February 3rd. Eats Cafe, Yoshi's Sushi, and Legends Classic Grill.
In financial news, world markets were mostly lower today as news of possible hiccups in U.S.-China trade talks ratcheted up growth worries. Keeping score, Germany's DAX gave up 0.5 percentage point to 11,036, and the CAC 40 in France lost 0.3% to 4,833. Britain's FTSE 100 was 0.6% lower at 6,858. Wall Street was set for a flat opening. The future contract for the Dow Jones Industrial Average was 0.1% higher at 24,404. The contract for the broader S&P 500 index was flat at 2,631. Looking at Asia's day, Japan's Nikkei 225 index shed 0.1% to 20,593 after the Bank of Japan kept its short and long-term interest rates intact as expected, but lowered its inflation forecasts. South Korea's Kospi rose 0.5 percentage point to 2,127. Hong Kong's Hang Seng was almost flat at 27,008. Looking at energy, U.S. crude oil picked up 4 cents to $53.05 per barrel in electronic trading on the New York Mercantile Exchange. The contract closed $1.03 lower at $53.01 per barrel on Tuesday. Brent crude used to price international oils gained a nickel to $61.55 per barrel. It dropped $1.24 to $61.50 per barrel in London. And in currencies, the dollar strengthened to 109.60 yen from 109.37 late Tuesday. The euro rose to 1.1363 from 1.1361.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go.
Puritan, now using the most popular and eco-friendly cleaning solvents. Take advantage of our ongoing discounts on all men and women's apparel. Ask about other discounts available in store. 3 convenient locations to serve you: Savannah Countryside, Elgin Avenue, Georgetown, Eastern Avenue, Georgetown. Drive-through, rain or shine. Free pickup and delivery available. Call Puritan Cleaners at 949-7104. You feel good when you look good.
Hi, my name is Neraya LeBlanc. I am the minister and evangelist to the West Bay Church of Christ on 24 Batabano Road. I would love to take this opportunity to invite you to experience God's family at West Bay for yourself. We are a caring congregation that strongly believes in reaching out beyond ourselves to spread the gospel of Christ. We also take great pleasure in ministering to the needs of our people in our community. As God's called out kingdom people, we are in the business of transforming lives for the Master's use. For more information, you can visit our website at westbaycichurchofchrist.org or call us at 946-9294 or 917-1809.
Declaring the word of the Lord.
Cayman Islands Church of Christ presents Word of the Lord.
Word of the Lord, heard Sundays at 6:30 p.m. on Radio Cayman. It's a good morning. Time now for the latest weather report. Current temperature is 78 degrees. Relative humidity is 88%. Barometric pressure 30.06 inches and rising. Wind is out of the east at 10 knots. Overnight low temperature was 77 degrees. Synopsis indicate fresh northeasterly winds and moderate seas will continue across the Cayman area as a cold front in the western Atlantic continues to tighten the pressure gradient across the northwest Caribbean. Radar images show isolated showers mainly south of Grand Cayman, which are moving towards the west-southwest. Now the forecast for the Cayman Islands for today, calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers. Temperatures will be in the low 80s. Your winds will be east to northeast 15 to 20 knots this morning, becoming southeast 10 to 50 knots by this evening. Seas will be rough with wave heights of 6 to 8 feet with some swells likely along the east and north coast. A small craft warning remains in effect. Tonight, cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and temperatures falling to the low 70s. Your winds will be east to southeast at 10 to 50 knots and seas will be moderate to rough with wave heights of 4 to 6 feet tonight. Small craft should exercise caution over open waters. We're presently at a low tide, and the next high tide will be this afternoon at 1:40, and a low tide again tonight at 8:51. The sun will set this evening at 6:11 and will rise tomorrow morning at 2 minutes after 7. And the outlook is calling for light variable winds and slight seas from tomorrow evening as a cold front enters the central Gulf of Mexico. Good morning, and time now to take a look what's happening on our roads. Busy traffic coming from the east and Shamrock Road, and also heavy traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway. Busy traffic coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, and traffic also steady and some sections busy on Crew Road, and traffic is moving along moderately on North Sound Road, and moderate flow of traffic as well on Edward Street in front of the Georgetown Post Office, and as well as Shedden Road, and steady traffic on the West Bay Road, especially in front of the Ritz in both directions, coming from the West Bay four-way stop. Moderate flow of traffic in both directions. Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue traffic is moderate. And that's very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12. We'll update you traffic-wise. And remember, buckle up.
Hello, I'm Joseph Woods, the Acting Port Director. Our port facility is the hub of the Cayman Islands commerce and economic activity, handling $658 million in imported goods annually. From groceries to construction materials, all sectors of our economy depend on the port. But it is now 40 years old. Its infrastructure is degrading, and we feel the strain from insufficient space for both cargo and cruise operations. The time is now. A new expanded port facility is needed to allow both cargo and cruise to operate efficiently and to support our island's continued growth and development. Support the port, support our tourism, support Cayman's continued growth and development.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Thursday at 7 p.m., you can hear a repeat broadcast of CI Retro Talk Today's Heroes Day Celebrate Cayman special program presentation brought to you by Atlantic Supply Limited, the Cayman Islands' foremost heavy equipment and construction equipment dealer since 1983. Atlantic Supply Limited, 398 North Sound Road in Georgetown. That's CI Retro Talk Today, Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
The Cayman Islands Football Association's youth leagues kicked off this weekend. In the boys under 15 games played on Saturday afternoon, Bordentown FC trounced Academy 7-1. Cayman Athletic versus 345 FC saw a 1-1 draw, and Sunset FC beat 345 FC 6-0. Bordentown FC's Brashawn Watson scored 4 goals, and Jacon Miller fired in the other 3 to secure the win against Academy SC White. Cayman Athletics' Javon Clark opened the scoring against 345 FC 1, only to see his goal canceled out by a Cayman Athletic own goal. Games continue this Saturday at the Annex Playing Field in Georgetown. In international sports, Serena Williams says she did not choke after missing 4 match points as Czech 7th seed Karolina Pliskova won the final 6 games to win a dramatic Australian Open quarterfinal. The 37-year-old American, going for a record equaling 24th Grand Slam singles title, led 5-1 in the decider but lost 6-4, 4-6, 7-5 in Melbourne. Former world number 1 Pliskova will meet Japan's 4th seed Naomi Osaka in the last 4 on Thursday, with 8th seed Petra Kvitova taking on unseeded American Danielle Collins in the other semifinal. Williams, seeded 16th, played down an ankle injury which she suffered during the rally on her first match point when serving at 5-1, 40-30.
Initiating system.
For information that matters, For the Record with Orrett Connor continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My guest isn't in the studio yet, so we will continue the conversation. I want to remind you that our phone lines are open. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. Email us at fortherecord, that is one word, fortherecord, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us at 925-3261. And you can follow us simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. One of our listeners in relation to the iguana culling suggested, and I trust that Mr. Burton may still be listening to Radio Cayman, or someone at DOE is listening as well. And this person suggested that the drop-off site needs to be open for a longer period of time, for later in the day, open until later in the day. The person says that it prevents working persons from assisting in the iguana culling because if they're unable to drop the cull off later on in the evening. So their suggestion is that it should remain open a little bit later. We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C. All the best to you.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
All right. Just first, a bit of history. You know, we never had any caimans here in Cayman. I think that's a part of the lost in translation. Because when they asked the native what that animal was, he said, caiman, which is like, we would say a lizard, a bird.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no record. I think they said they found one skeleton some years ago, but there were no caimans in Cayman. But he mistook the iguana. Well, we had a lot of iguanas. And the other people used to eat them. And a lot of people in Central South America eat them. And the government even sold these iguanas for just $1 each. They recoup like at least $500,000
mm-hmm.
back from what they're spending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Caller, while I have you on the phone, I just want to say to you, I think I heard you on Sterling's show yesterday when you called in and you talk about the fact that you were a student teacher at one point in time. And I just want to remind you that I have some electronic copies of the old Trade Winds newspaper, and I believe that you and Mr. James Ryan, the former district commissioner and former chief secretary here in Grand Cayman, both of you entered the teaching profession around about the same time?
Yeah, Mr. Ryan and also Mr. Levy, the lawyer.
Yes.
We were both teaching in the West Bay back in 66, and then we on the Kibben Bradley Creek School there for a while.
Yeah, there's an article, a nice article in the Trade Winds newspaper, with you and Mr. Ryan. So I just wanted to pass that on to you.
Yeah, I'm amused sometimes, man, and teachers talking about what large classes had 25 sort of children. I had 55 in junior 3. Most of them 8 and 9, a few 10 and 1 7. And 55 children. One day, Miss Genevieve, the head teacher, came down and asked me if everything was okay. I said, yeah, what's the problem? I said, Mr. Chris, how do you keep them so quiet? That was a wonderful class, Dan. There's some notable people in Cayman here, including Norman Kiva Bush and Reva Dilbert and Carl Stevens, and all in that same class.
Okay.
So I had the privilege of passing through them for a little while in my life.
Great. And we want to thank you for your service during that period of time as well. Thank you very much, sir. You have a great day. We're joined now by MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan in the studio. Mr. Bryan, good morning. Again, I want to say thank you for ceding a half an hour of your time this morning to allow us to accommodate the Mr. Fred Burton from the Department of Environment. And I just want to remind you, if you haven't heard already, the de facto mayor of Rock Hole, Mr. Alan Moore, also known as Ha-Ha. Today is his birthday. So we want to say to all of you people over in planning department, treat him real nice today. Buy him a nice cake, but don't make it too big because he'll have more to eat this afternoon down in Rock Hole as well. Mr. Bryan, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I'm having a minor issue with my headset because I didn't hear the caller at all just now. Okay. But we don't have a caller now, so hopefully we'll resolve it a little bit later. But there, I think that may be a little bit better.
You're hearing it now? Yeah. Okay.
I hear myself better now. Good morning, Cayman Islands. Good morning to your valuable listeners as well as those who may be watching via YouTube Live. I see that Radio Cayman is stepping up its game from a social media perspective. So
we continue to rise,
right?
Yes.
Because before I have an American car, and sometimes I don't get the Radio Cayman, and as well as I'm not in the vehicle, so I go, I want to stream it. And then I remember Miss Susan said, Kenneth, we go YouTube Live. I said, oh yeah. So I go to YouTube now and watch you guys in the mornings whenever I'm in the office meeting, or I have to be in the office before the radio show is done. So congratulations in respect to that. Mr. Ha-Ha. I know you will be listening to this show right now. Happy birthday to you. I know you must be about 36 or 37 now. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell everybody your age, but happy birthday to you. I wish you many, many more, and I hope you get loads of smiles today. And I want to concur with you, OC, in respect to telling everybody else that is in his department to make sure that he has an amazing day. He's truly a man of the people in the community and has been giving all of his life, as long as I've known him at least. I never found a person who's more caring and more willing to give everything he has, and maybe that's why he's not retired yet, because he keeps on giving everything away to everybody else. So he's a very kind man. Happy birthday to you. OC, it's a pleasure to be on the show, as always. I don't have a lot to complain about this morning.
We can always talk about positive stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying. I was on my way to the show. I was like, okay, what kind of stuff that the government's doing that I can big up, because I don't want to be complaining. I'm trying my best not to complain too much in the new year. But kind of that's almost my job in the opposition as an independent member, is to critique and be that watchful eye on the government. But there is positive things that the government is doing that I want to try to focus on, and also discuss the fact that we have Carifta coming up, and I've been an advocate for persons to be mindful of that, because sports is that one thing that joins us all together, and it's if we can build that momentum going into Carifta, the kids can really feel proud, and that gives them an extra boost of finding themselves running that race 3 seconds faster than before, because there's so many people in the crowd. So I want everybody who's listening to pay attention to the announcements by government as to when Carifta is coming. Start preparing yourself to be prepared to go out there and cheer for our young athletes. Make sure you get your colors, your Cayman blue and red, and those types of memorabilia that is necessary for support, your horns, and make sure you get some good juices for your voices, because I want to hear some loads of screams and shouts. And for the employers out there who are listening, if the parents have kids that are in these meets, please I beg of you, be kind-hearted and let them have the day off so they can go out there and represent. And for those who don't even have kids in Carifta, see if you can take a vacation day, because this is a national sporting event, one that we should be proud of. We're hosting it from the region, and we want to show off what proud Caymanians that we are, and that we can host an event to the ultimate degree. So we need to fill those stands every single day whenever they have in that event. Take some time off and make sure you come. I don't have the exact dates here with me today.
I'm actually looking it up now. So you go and talk, and you'll find something.
Okay.
On it.
And so ideally, the way for us to build that energy is for us all to prepare. Because sometimes, I've had conversations before. People go, I'd really like to come to, like, say, inter-primary days, but people can't get time off of work. This is how you build national pride, by securing and empowering these types of events, and the only how we can do that, we can't wait till the week of and say, oh boy, I wish I had a day off. You have to start planning from now. Talk to the boss so the business can make the appropriate arrangements to allow you your vacancy when you're not there that day to still operate. I know that the business community definitely wants to support that, but they want to make sure that their business is doing well at the same time. And thank you so much, OC, for providing me with the information. And just so you're aware, the dates for Carifta is April the 20th to the 22nd. So you have the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd. That's 3 days. I'm not sure what days they fall. I'm assuming that's going to be a Wednesday to a Friday.
Yeah. So you're usually during the Easter period.
Yeah. So go ahead, and it's going to be at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex, and it's definitely going to probably be an all-day event. Take those days. Most people have about 10 to 15 days vacation, and those 3 days, trust me, will be worth it for nation building, in respect to giving support to our kids and our national pride, that we all feel good about it. So that's the 20th to the 22nd. Go ahead and try to mark that down in your calendar from now. Look in your closet, see what red you have, see what blue you have, because I'm certain that those are going to be the colors that we're going to be pushing for Cayman, and start to get familiar if you can. If you see something in the paper, or if you see something on Facebook or on YouTube or GAS News as to what the names of the people are, and which Caymanians are going to be running, and all those kinds of things, so we can be a part of it. I am definitely just letting those know for those 3 days, I will be out of operation from a constituency standpoint unless there's an emergency, because I want to be there and taking full part and supporting that, particularly the minister, Ms. Juliana O'Connor-Connolly, in respect to pushing this. This is one of those things that we have to do together politically, nationwide as a community, to build that spirit of national pride and sports, right? This encourages the kids. So remember, April the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd.
And the 20th is on a Saturday, 21st on a Sunday, 22nd on a Monday.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I think I might have gotten that wrong. So even more reason to say, well, the Sunday, and is it Saturday? What's the first day?
20th is on a Saturday.
Okay, perfect. And then you have Sunday. So there's 2 days off. So technically speaking, you only need 1 day off, which is the Monday. And I'm assuming
that's Easter Monday. Is it? No.
I'm not sure when Easter Monday is, to be honest.
I'll find. Easter's in April too, but I'll find out. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I just realized that's my daughter's birthday, the 22nd, that Monday. So we can have a special birthday with her, being that weekend. But makes these dates make it easier for us all to attend. I know there's some religious elements in there because it's a Sunday and a Saturday. You have the Seventh-day Adventists. And you have sunrise to sunset from Friday to Saturday. So maybe the first initial one for those who are Seventh-day Adventists. But Sunday and Monday are definitely the last day, which is that Monday. Everybody should be able to attend. So I really want us to be mindful of that. There's a lot of sporting shops around Cayman that offer up memorabilia like the Cayman shirts and horns and cheerleader stuff and hats and those kinds of things. Be mindful. Start saving from now, just in case you need that extra little bit of cash to take $50 to say, okay, I'm going to buy myself a shirt, a horn, or something like that. Because those little things build the momentum, build the energy that our kids are going to need. It's that energy, that momentum, that feeling that I have to run and jump and throw proudly because my people are here watching and wanting me to do well to represent them. So the stronger we make that energy, the better they will perform. Anybody whoever going through school or any other kind of events nationally, you know that feeling within your stomach that you get when you're trying to perform for your people, and it's probably one of the most honorable things you can ever do. And trust me, you get a lot of energy from seeing your people in the stands fighting for you. So let's make it good for them so they can get that extra boost and first, and not only all of that, but beat the rest of the teams that are going to come, right? Because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. So remember that. That's April the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd, Carifta here in the Cayman Islands.
Right. And just for the benefit of our audience, of course, Ash Wednesday is the 6th of March. So we have a holiday this coming Monday, National Heroes Day. That's our first holiday. 6th of March is Ash Wednesday. That's our big agriculture show day. And then the 19th of April is Good Friday.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. So
22nd of April, Easter Monday.
Oh, boy.
And then we go on to all the way until 20th of May. Then we end up with Discovery Day on the 20th of May.
Well, I guess what we're going to be asking people is to sacrifice that Easter weekend. And you have to look within yourselves from early. Because sometimes, most people either travel that Easter weekend or they go to camping. But this is one of those Easters I'm going to ask you to sacrifice that pleasure time in the best interest of nation building, and our kids need us. I don't want to end up having a Carifta with low amounts of people in the stands. This is the time that we actually need to come out
and support.
So I want to ask you to sacrifice that this time. You can still have Easter fun because, by all means, there's things you can do during the day and sacrifice a few hours to come down to the stands and support Caymanians, the young talent, young athletes as they go out and perform. But try to stay home this Easter and come out and support. They really need it.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, the conversation with MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan will continue, so please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Pharmacy Group would like to thank the Cayman communities for their continuous support for over the past decade. CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy opened its doors in March 2000. West Bay Pharmacy first opened their doors in March 2004. The Cayman Pharmacy Group was established in July 2007. Throughout the years, our CPG family has provided more than just pharmaceuticals to our loyal friends and customers. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has protected the lives of our medical community by securing the best healthcare advice and pharmaceutical services. To us at CPG, you are more than just a number. So, we are taking the time to say thank you for choosing CPG. The Cayman Pharmacy Group, taking care of your health.
At Kirk's Home Center, we can make your life much better. We got it all together. We got a great deal in store for you.
Did you make resolutions for healthier eating? Then weigh portions on a kitchen scale for $5.99 and make noodles of your favorite vegetables with a tabletop spiralizer for $36.09. Or try an indoor electric low-fat grill from Gotham for $39.05. Eliminate clutter and maximize space with a cubicle storage organizer for $68.49. And save on a 5-gallon wet-dry vac for only $55.99.
Herbs Home Center. We got a great deal in store for you.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record with your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Mr. Bryan, we had one caller offline that suggested for the Carifta Games, those who intend on going and supporting the Cayman Islands team, talking about the availability of Cayman Islands flags at the museum that can be purchased at the museum as well.
Well, I'm thankful. Thank you for mentioning that, because I need to go out there and get my own flag. I want to start that weekend of, or the week leading up to, I want to start seeing people go out there and get their flags and start attaching it to their cars, kind of like you see when you have World Cup. People start putting their flags up for the teams that they support, because that builds momentum as well. So I'm going to see what size I can get and whether I can put it all over my hood without damaging my car. But those flags are important, and I'm glad that the museum is constantly, every year, all through the year, having those available. So, and they don't overstock. So let's see if we can go out there now. If they get the momentum of people coming to buy flags from early, they can make sure there's enough for everybody to go around. And besides, a flag is not only about a competitive event, but for nation pride anyway. Speaking about flags, I think it's a good segue to go into something that has been on my mind. You know that one of the big proponents or supporters for national pride and flag flying was Mr. Former elected member in charge of the 60-year anniversary right now, Alfonso Wright.
Mr. Alfonso, yes.
I apologize. I can't believe I forgot his name. Mr. Alfonso. And there is some companies out there that I've seen ever so proudly have establish a pole, and the pole goes really high, and those big Cayman flag flying. And for any company who is doing that right now, hats off to you. I wish there was an award I can give you, because that is so important to our national pride, and I like to see more people doing that. I would like to actually, I sent an email just the other day to sit down with the Honorable Premier once he's back away from defending the country of this financial threat that we're having, to sit down and discuss that with him, because I think it would be important to give some sort of incentives by way of duty waiver or what have you, for persons who want to erect those poles. I've actually, there's one home that I remember going down into Newlands when I went to see my colleague Alva Suku, and I saw this home, and they've obviously gone and built their cement block for it, and erected this nice beautiful silver pole like what you would have out here, and they have their flag pole erected, and by all means that wouldn't be a cheap thing to do, because the pole would probably be a reasonable amount of money, and getting a worker to put the cement base down for it to be hung and getting the size of the flag. But we have to make it as easy as possible for persons to do that, whether it's like if you select a company who's going to offer that services, give it to the public at a discount rate, because we give them the duty waivers for the poles themselves or what have you. But you have to encourage this, and Mr. Alfonso made the pathway for something like that to happen from previous legislation before, and I would like to start encouraging that. I'm actually considering trying to find out what company can help me do that in my own yard, because it's important my kids see that, they feel that national pride. So, as I was saying before, from the sporting perspective, if you buy the flag, the flag could be used for that too. If you're interested in something like that, I know by all means not everybody has the money to do that, But if you have, and you say, well, boy, what can I do for my own country? And you have a few dollars, do that. Trust me, that goes so much further than you understand. I think that on my street where I live, I want to be the first one to have a big old flag coming down. So I don't know how many people on my street are Caymanian. I think most of them are. But there may be some non-Caymanians, and I want that non-Caymanian to go, boy, that's a proud Caymanian there. And I think that's something that we should embrace. I really, really need to embrace it, because particularly whenever you have issues, it's when you work together that you solve them, regardless of your political differences or your ideological differences or your religious differences. But remembering that we're in this journey of life on earth together as one nation called the Cayman Islands. So,
do you think they may require planning permission to erect a flag? Because if you had to go that far with it, you see in other jurisdictions as well where they use the small flags, and you have the little short ones that you would hold in your hand, but you can take that and put that on the side of your house so that it is flying at in a horizontal position, from the home as well, and that would not involve a whole lot of money to do that.
I agree with you. I'm not sure what the planning regulations are on erecting a pole for flag purposes, but I can't see much hindrances as long as the pole doesn't go past a certain height. I think after a certain height, that's where the concern comes in from potentially the wiring elements of or make sure it's not too close to the road. But let's say, for instance, you did a pole that was 12 feet high. That's probably not higher than your house, so there's no safety element from the height. From the foundation itself, maybe if there needs to be planning approval, make it very easy and efficient where the inspector just comes down and says, listen, yeah, that's it. Your foundation is probably where the planning would come in, because the pole itself, I don't think planning is going to inspect the pole. It's actually the foundation where the pole would go on to make sure it's secured for that purpose. But good point, and it gives me now more responsibility to go out and find out what those details are, so when we're on the show the next time, that I can say, okay, planning doesn't need approval, or they do, but it's very easy. I slightly doubt that unless it's past a certain height that they would need it. At least I hope not, because that puts more hindrances in the way from people to want to do that. I mean, if you got to go through planning approval plus pay for the pole plus the foundation, all that, it becomes more burdensome and less likely a person is going to do it. I just hope that it won't be one of those type of situations. But one of our counterparts, will definitely give me information on that later on when I see him for his birthday. So I'll find out more about that. But national pride and nation building is what it's all about.
Okay, we still have a few minutes before we go to our break.
Okay, well, one of the topics that I was hoping to speak about today is the construction industry. And the connectivity of trade, schools, and education, or the lack thereof, should I say, in the Cayman Islands. So rather than jumping straight into it, before we go to the break, we got a caller?
We have a caller, yeah, actually. Let's take the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Good morning, Kenneth. This is Alfonso.
Good morning, Alfonso. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, good, man. Hey, how you doing?
Not too bad, sir.
Yeah, I've been listening to you guys, and I thought I should chime in to. First of all, thank you, Kenneth, for agitating for a little bit more use of our Cayman flag, or our main source of identity, and it is one of the things that.
Yeah. We're getting an echo from you, Mr. Fonzo. I'm not sure if you may want to turn the radio off.
I believe that the flag is the single most important instrument for us to express our patriotism. And it is something that I have agitated for a long time, and I want to encourage Kenneth. I want to thank him and encourage him to, if he could please continue, and at some point we should work together. But I need to let him know that this is a very timely topic here, and I'm glad that he's bringing it up. And to say to him that just 2 weeks ago, me and my committee met with the deputy governor and had the same discussion about making the flag more accessible and find ways to make it less expensive, that people can easily pick it up. You can go to you can go to a Walmart, any of those kind of stores in the U.S. and pick up a flag easy. And I think we need to try somehow or the other to get ourselves in that position where flags are easily accessible to everybody. And the same ideas, Kenneth, that you're talking about, I'm so proud of you about the flag poles and stuff. We've discussed all that. As a matter of fact, I've taken this a little bit further from a couple of months ago, where I actually had a discussion with Mr. R.C. Thompson, who was keen to get involved. And because his father was one of the vestrymen that was there when the coat of arms was created. And we'll be having a discussion around that. And, you know, I'd like to encourage Kenneth to get involved with us. I think it's nothing wrong with all of us working together and trying to get this the way we need to get it. But we need to do it. We need to make our flag something that we need to protect it. We can't let people do any and everything with our flag, but we need to make it more accessible where the average person can pick up a flag and when they want it. And we're working towards a major event sometime in May when we close off our coat of arms celebration. That is going to be something like we've never seen before, and it's all going to have to do with flags. So, Kenneth, let's talk. I'd like your help. I think the country would do well by us working together and finding a way to bring our feelings of patriotism forward.
Yes. Mr. Wright, trust me, you don't even know what those words mean to me. I got cold chills hearing you say that, and I look forward to getting off this radio and giving you a call because national pride is very important to me, and I know if there's any bigger fighter for it in this country, it's Mr. Alfonso Wright. So to be any help in any capacity for you is an honor. So I appreciate that, and I will definitely be calling you after the show. And I actually look forward to. I can envision it already, that day where that flag day where everybody's, you just see the colors and the flags everywhere. I know what I can imagine what you're dreaming, and I know that if anybody can pull it off, it's you. So I'll be honored to be a part of it in any way, and I'll call you after the show. Okay.
Thank you very much, Franz.
I'm smiling because you're using all the words that I've been using. They're so familiar. So yeah, let's go at it.
Okay.
Thanks, you all have a good day.
Thank you. You do so as well. We have one caller, but we're gonna. Should we take the caller before? We're going to take a break. We have a caller who is on hold. We're asking that caller to hang in there. Quick commercial break. When we return, we will take your call.
It's 2019, and you know what they say, new year, new me?
Yeah, Bobo. For me, it's new year, new car.
For real? What you thinking of buying?
The new RAV4 from Vant Motors. It's one of the safest compact SUVs out there with enough room inside, which is good for my family and convincing my wife we need this. Plus, it's fuel efficient, fun to drive, and on top of that, it's on sale too.
Yeah, and I hear it's one of the best-selling SUVs on the market.
Cause you don't gotta spend more to do more. That's why I'm gonna get mine now, while they have a new stock to select from.
Do more in your RAV4. Save thousands on the all-new 2019 RAV4. Test drive yours today and see why the RAV4 is a best-selling SUV in Cayman. Available only at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, formerly known as Professional Pharmacy, would like to thank the Cayman communities for their loyal support these past 18 years. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care. Thorough background checks and follow-up consultations is only the beginning. Your safety is our concern. Our staff are respected healthcare professionals whose job requires careful and precise calculations. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, where we prepare to provide exceptional care. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we care about your health.
It's the CMEA's 11th Annual Music Festival Weekend, coming January 25th to 28th, Heroes Day Weekend. 5 events over 4 days. Friday the 25th, catch the DJ Showcase.
Cayman Cabana.
Soul-Karama.
Carib Cafe.
Reggae Revolution. Silverside's Dance Party.
Saturday the 26th, see the Young Musicians Showcase at 1 p.m. at the Hockwell Theater, followed by the Heroes Salute at 7 p.m. at the Havana Club. Sunday the 27th, don't miss the Music Awards ceremony at the Hartwell Theatre. And on Monday, Heroes Day, the live music showcase will merge with the Heroes Day ceremony in Georgetown for an evening of live local music. For more detailed information or tickets for the 11th Annual Music Festival, call 928-7665 or visit the Cayman Music and Entertainment Association on Facebook. Music Festival Weekend, 4 days, 5 events. Don't miss the celebration of Cayman's top musical talent.
Flowers Bottled Water is a sponsor of Radio Cayman's CI Retro Talk Today, special Cayman Islands historical program series. Flowers Bottled Water, the cooler water. Telephone 949-8688. We invite you to listen to our repeat broadcast of CI Retro Talk Today's Heroes Day Celebrate Cayman special program presentation on Thursday at 7 p.m. on Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan. We have one caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning again, Mr. O.C.
Morning again, sir. Good morning again.
First, I got a comment about the flag. We have, when especially Independence Day, Jamaicans have no problem of flying their flag. And since so many, almost like at least 1/3 of the island, are Jamaicans, Stardust or a lot of them born here. And now, since this is their new home, I hope they fly the Cayman flag. Not only Jamaicans, other nationalities that have Stardust thing here now. If they're Caymanians, show respect for that by flying the Cayman flag. And you still there?
Yes, we are.
Okay. A suggestion which Mr. Kenneth and Mrs. Burton and you earlier, with all these iguanas they're getting, they could sell them and make a good $1 million return to the government instead of dumping them. There are 3 ways you can sell the whole one iguana in maybe $2 a big one, or get some people, and I would suggest maybe from Central America to enter it, clean the iguanas and sell them all to the supermarket. There's a lot of people that eat iguanas, and it might taste like Haiti. It's quite nice actually. And the third thing is the question. I have been trying to find out about something about this dock at Red Bay. Now, based on the master mariners who I have most respect for, I told them that dock in town is almost like a waste of money. And the only thing I can get about Red Bay is that certain influential people don't want it there, which I cannot understand why. For one, if the dredging, you have a strip of land 2 or 3 times the size of public beach, right by the shoreline, it would be a better beach for all the residents of South Down, in fact the whole island. It would improve the value of all those condos being building on the other side of the road. And then you have that strip of land, another dredged place for the passengers to get off, a deep channel for the ship to come in, and then a strip of land inside of the reef, and to block so they won't damage the reef, and high enough so they will not bring the waves. It will help bring the waves, and you will have a harbor there that can be used year round. Now, I cannot understand what the objections are, so Kenneth, if you can enlighten me with some of that.
Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, caller, for that. Mr. Bryan.
Firstly, I want to thank the caller for calling in. He mentioned 3 different areas. Let me see if my memory serves me well in respect to the flying of the flags, particularly with other nations on their days, and that in our days we should be flying our flags. I think sometimes why we have that situation is because we've yet been able to find a proper formula as a community to do the embracing process of persons who become new Caymanians. I think that we need to be able to bring ourselves together, because I try to think about it like in the United States. When a person becomes a United States citizen, it's almost that there's a lot of pride into that. They don't say, I'm no longer Chinese, or I am Caribbean, or whatever. They say, now I'm an American, and they embrace that. But there's a lot of other things that cause that, and I think it's because of the empowerment of embracing the saying, listen, we're in this together, and actually we want you to want to become a Caymanian or become an American. And we haven't seen to as a nation get the spirit of that happening. Now, it's very hard for any nation to let go their culture, but embracing who they've become is a different argument. By all means, they're going to still eat the same types of food that they grew up with. If they come from China, they're going to eat Chinese food, but they're Chinese American, and they always embrace the new nation that they've taken on. We haven't been able to do that, and I think that we have to find strategic ways of embracing. That has to do with the narrative of us as a community, as what we would call the grassroots Caymanians, the full-breeded one, if you dare say, to embrace. Because ideally, we're going to be a very small version of the United States, whether we like it or not, because we are a nation that is built upon immigration. And the prime example of that right now is half of our population at this current moment is non-Caymanians. And that shows you, that's a prime example of where we are in our direction. Now, I know a lot of people are hesitant to that because so many Caymanians have been left behind, but it's not because of the immigration formula, or it does have to do with the immigration formula, but it shouldn't be the reason why we're not together, because a divided society is definitely not beneficial to any good growth for the nation. So a lot of people don't want to embrace others, and some of those others who become Caymanian are not really doing their part to embrace their society either, because they stay in their silos rather than saying, okay, I've become Caymanian. What does that mean? I've joined a new family. Let me go see my new brothers and sisters and get to know them. They kind of become a part of a family, and they stay in the family house. For as example, they go and stay in the family house room by themselves and never come out into the living area and watch TV together or read together or play together. So there's a responsibility both on persons becoming Caymanian and us as the original Caymanians, if I dare say, to embrace each other and say, remember that this is one boat and we have to paddle this boat together so that we can make it safely through this journey called life. And there's been no efforts to push that. I actually have an effort that I'm going to be doing in the future. I don't want to say what it is because I'm hoping that it would be a surprise, and that's something that I can probably talk to Mr. Alfonso about, because he would understand the nationalistic part of that and what I would try to accomplish with it. But that's the reason why we don't have that in respect to the flag carrying part. When a person becomes a Caymanian, you may say to yourself, they should be flying the Cayman flag, but you got to want them to want to do so, and they got to want to do so as well themselves. I don't know if that's if I fully made that clear, but there has to be the want by both sides to do it together. And there's been this divide for some time of the old Caymanians and the new Caymanians, and we got to do better at joining that together. And that's where leadership comes in and inspiration. But that's why that's not happening. If I can go on now to the other parts he was speaking about in respect to the dock, I think he was the last one.
Yes.
Why is it not in the Red Bay area? I too share some concerns about the Georgetown Central area in respect to the expansion of the port. I can't say that Red Bay, in my opinion, is the best location, because I think that location probably has most of the rougher weather majority of the time of the year, because it's on the south side of the island where majority of the prevailing winds come from. So from the standpoint of accessibility to the port or to the dock, if it's built there, is a lesser percentage than what it is in the Georgetown Harbor. I think that's just a natural fact we have to agree with. There's more calmer waters on the west side of the island rather than on the south side of the island, but the south side of the island has the deeper waters for the ships. I agree with the caller in respect to saying, there's a nice stretch of beach there that when people just get off, they can go straight to the beach, because we're losing locations for beach. That's a very good point. But at this particular point, the hurdles that would be in the way of moving it to the Red Bay area is obviously you have many companies and families and money invested in the current location where it's at. And like a person may take their whole family wealth, millions and millions of dollars, and invest in their efforts in their business downtown. If you move that traffic away from them, what happens to them, and do they get compensated for it? Do they get first preference in the new location? Those factors would have to be considered if you ever want to move it. And in my personal opinion, if I am of the view that you're right that I don't think Georgetown Central is the best location for it from a safety standpoint and eventual growth standpoint. Ideally, this may surprise some people, but I believe the North Sound is probably the best option for growth in the long term because it's a natural harbor. I know that there's a lot of people who may oppose that for various reasons, whether it be environmental and the change of location like I just suggested before. But particularly from a cargo perspective, because a lot of people having this discussion about the port, but I think that we've forgotten that within this current proposal by the government for this project, it's twofold. It's the cruise dock, as well as the expansion of the cargo facility.
Okay, we have to go to headline news at 9 o'clock, and we have two callers on hold. Headline news is very short, so callers hang in there. As soon as we return, we will take your calls. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman. Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The National Gallery is exploring the business side of art at a special workshop tonight. The event explores intellectual property laws with regards to creatives. It starts at 6 p.m. and admission is free. Brexiteer Minister Liam Fox says delaying or cancelling Brexit would be a calamitous breach of trust with the electorate and worse than leaving the EU with no deal. He said it was the, quote, worst outcome of the current wrangles. MPs are proposing alternate plans to the PM's deal with the EU, including seeking an extension to the UK's exit date, which is scheduled for March 29th. But the Prime Minister has said the, quote, right way to rule out a no Brexit deal is to approve her withdrawal agreement. And a government-appointed human rights group in Zimbabwe has accused soldiers of using, quote, systemic torture in a crackdown on protests. The Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission strongly criticized authorities for using troops to quell demonstrations. Unrest broke out more than a week ago following a sharp rise in fuel prices. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands. What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan in the studio with me this morning. We're going straight to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC. Good morning, Mr. Bryan.
Good morning, ma'am. Thanks for being so patient.
No problem. You see, this radio station gives good information. You have always been very generous in telling us to hold on and anyway, getting down to the flags. I always thought that by the way, I have two in my yard since Peter's the representative for Switzerland and then the Cayman flag. Mm-hmm. And we got the flag poles from A.L. Thompson. Mm-hmm. Our height is not 12 feet. It's much taller than that. I think it's a 30 or 40 foot pole. Mm-hmm. We didn't have to go to planning or anything like that. Mm-hmm. also Mario Ebanks has, in the same area, in the same little community, have always flown a Cayman flag in his yard. I wish, this is my wishes and my ideas, I wish that we would ask all of the nations that live and work here, the different nations, that we could get a flag from them. Of course, we would charge them. Government should charge them, because I see it in so many other countries, and put those individual flags from the countries in Hero Square. And it's beautiful to see the different nationalities, the different flags flying someplace like that where we have Hero Square. And they must maintain the flags. Each country must maintain the flags. Now, I've seen it in many other places, like I said before, and I think it is worthwhile doing because of so many, I think, 137, 140 different nationalities here. It would be beautiful. It would be beautiful to have something like that here, or even at the airport. That's the place of entry, so why not? Anyway, I wish you gentlemen a very good day and a very good morning to Susan. She's always so very pleasant and patient.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much. You have a great day as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning, Doc. How are you?
Good morning, Dr. McField.
Good morning. Steve McField here.
Morning, sir.
I wouldn't go without commenting on this topic that you're on. And for Mr. Bryan's information, I would like to give my research opinion of why people go to America and they become Americans immediately. And they don't do the same thing in the Cayman Islands. 3 words: patriotism, loyalty, and assimilation. When most immigrants from all over the world, if you study the history of America and the intellectual history of the Americans, and when they were taking all the immigrants to build this great nation from all over the world, bring me your poor, your huddled masses and stuff. There, they set the policy of how people would integrate into America, and they had an assimilation plan that you have to become an American. And you probably don't know, or probably too young to know all the things in the 1950s, the Un-American Activities Committee, where people who slightly said something, criticized the government or something in America. There was a huge, for many years under McCarthy, and even when I was young and I was going to America for my first time, you had to, the immigration form had a thing: have you ever visited a communist country? Have you ever do blah blah do this? They wanted to make sure.
Or if you're a member of the Communist Party, yes.
Exactly. So, and again, people who came from all of these other countries, from Europe, from Asia, in the immigration door policy was not open to people of color too much, African people. But they came and they assimilated in America immediately because they thought America was the greatest power in the world, and it was better than any other place in the world. And so they had loyalty to the American system, and they dropped their own language and they start speaking Americans immediately. Even our people who went there in the early years, when they came back to Cayman, you would say, he got his papers, he got his papers. And 6 months after the Caymanians got there too, they were doing the same thing. They were forgetting the Caymanian accent. And even some of them who went there wouldn't even put their telephone number in the book. So when you went there, you couldn't contact them because they didn't want you. They didn't want people to know that they were not Americans and that they were from the Caribbean. And so what the American policy was, immediate assimilation, and you had to become loyal to America, and patriotic to the American flag and the American anthem. That Cayman is a different place. We have 100 and something nationalities, each separate and distinct, with no assimilation policy. And these people come here, they do not believe that our culture is superior to their culture, like the people who went to immigrants who went to America. They ridicule what we call our culture and says no culture at all, and they have no respect and no loyalty to us. And our government has no policy to solve that problem, and that problem will be even greater when we have more people from all these different nationalities coming here and getting the right to live here forever. Because then they do not, because their disrespect for Cayman and their disloyalty to the Cayman and lack of assimilation, they would not need Cayman and Caymanians at all. They would be little nations, all separate and equal to themselves, and that's the difference between us and those other people. So they don't have any respect for Caymanian flag. Caymanians don't even have respect for their own flag themselves. They don't even fly the flag themselves. And it's because we have also in Cayman, we have taught the British Union Jack ruled Britannia ruled the waves, England never shall be slaves, and all those things. We have not re-educated ourselves out of all that system that they taught us. And so we ourselves do not have any respect for our flag. Because if we did have respect for our flag, you would see our flag flying all over the island. But we too have no respect for our flag because we do not accept we do not accept our culture as being equal to anybody else. We also capitulate our culture and accept the culture from Asia and from Jamaica and from Honduras and all of them as being superior to us. And we assimilate into their culture and stay to them assimilate to our culture because we start talking like them when they come, and their music pervades everything in Cayman, which is a very dangerous position to be in. Their music, their ghetto music and all that kind of stuff, which is not Caymanian. Our music has never been that kind of music. And if you want to know how our music got, go and ask the Brackers, some of your ancestors, what our music was. Our music was always a different kind of music from the southern states, and it was about love and food and marriage and broken up and getting together and things like this. It was about shot of people and disrespect for women and things like that and whatnot. So that's the difference. And our government has no policy to rectify that situation. It's a very dangerous situation.
Caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. We have a few more calls on hold as well, but we want to thank you for your comments, and we will have Mr. Bryan respond as soon as we finish with the callers. Next caller, good morning. Caller, welcome to For the Record.
I just done it.
Morning, good morning.
Susan?
Go right ahead, caller. We're hearing you.
O.C.?
Go right ahead, caller.
O.C. and Mr. Kenneth.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Listen to me now, and listen to me good. This Westbury is a very smart Westbury, you know. It was me that was offline. When I called into Susan concerning Mr. Kenneth to do some advertising about the flags at the Cayman Island Museum.
Okay.
And then Dr. Maxey spoke about the Union Jack and all that. I do have a medium. The museum don't only have the small ones; they have the medium-sized ones too. And then I do have a medium-sized one that I display when I go on my part-time contract at one of the hotels. And plus, I also have the Cayman Island flag, small size, and the Union Jack. And then I also have Celebrate Cayman, which I won at the gift bag from the Radio Cayman. So I display 3 small ones and my medium size, which is the medium size is the Cayman flag. And the 3 small ones is one of the Union Jack, one of the Cayman Islands flag, and then it's to celebrate Cayman about the coat of arms. So, Mr. Alfonso, it was me again, and yesterday, on Monday, you called my name right out when I called. Mr. O.C.? Mr. O.C.?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go right ahead.
Yes, yes. So, I'm just letting Mr. Alfonso know that I am that smart West Bay too that suggested about the flag.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, caller. One more caller before the break? No calls. Why don't we take a break now? It's 9:13, and then when we return, we will be commercial free for the rest of the way to 9:30. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
It's 2019, and you know what they say, new year, new me?
Yeah, Bobo. For me, it's new year, new car.
For real? What you thinking of buying?
The new RAV4 from Avant Motors. It's one of the safest compact SUVs out there with enough room inside, which is good for my family and convincing my wife we need this. Plus, it's fuel efficient, fun to drive, and on top of that, it's on sale too.
Yeah, and I hear it's one of the best-selling SUVs on the market.
Cause you don't gotta spend more to do more. That's why I'm gonna get mine now, while they have a new stock to select from.
Do more in your RAV4. Save thousands on the all-new 2019 RAV4. Test drive yours today and see why the RAV4 is a best-selling SUV in Cayman. Available only at Vamped Motors, Walkers Road.
The 2019 Extra Cayman Arts Festival returns with events to soothe your musical palate. February 5th through the 9th. On Tuesday, February 5th, 6 p.m. at West End Hotel Ballroom, taking sips and sounds with the Island Brass Quintet. Thursday, February 7th, 6 p.m. at Camana Bay Cinema. See Nick Cartledge, Flute Recital, and the New York Cabaret Night at Marriott Hotel Ballroom. Saturday, February 9th, 6:30 p.m. For more information on the 2019 Extra Cayman Arts Festival and to purchase tickets, visit CaymanArtsFestival.com or you can email inquiries at CaymanArtsFestival.com or call 922-5550. The 2019 Cayman Arts Festival proudly sponsored by Butterfield, Walkers, Island Heritage, CIBC, Cayman National, Richard and Royson Addlestone, High Impact Media, Foster's and Radio Cayman.
Thursday at 7 p.m., you can hear a repeat broadcast of CI Retro Talk Today's Heroes Day Celebrate Cayman special program presentation brought to you by Hell Service Station, Hell Road in West Bay, family owned and operated for over 45 years. Now that calls for a celebration. Hell Service Station, where you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Visit Hell Service Station for all of your car care products.
Hello, I am Noel March, a small business owner in Georgetown for over 20 years. Small businesses depend on government to develop a quality infrastructure and environment that encourages entrepreneurs to create and grow local businesses, resulting in the creation of jobs and prosperity for Caymanians. Small businesses help drive our economy. Just as we have supported building the new airport, we must support the building of the new cargo and cruise port. It will give our tourism industry the opportunity to grow and Caymanian entrepreneurs the chance to shine. Support the port. Support our tourism.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, MLA Mr. Kenneth Bryan. We have a couple of messages. One says good morning to you and your guests. For the record, is there anything else being done to replace all non-Caymanians from guarding our schools and other government buildings? And the other one says, North Sound, a definite no for any dock in the North Sound.
All right.
Okay.
Firstly, I'd like to deal with the first part. That's a very good question to bring up because the government did agree to that change of trying to make sure that all security personnel for government agencies and departments and government-owned properties, that they would try to make sure to change out those securities with Caymanian securities. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if they've gone through with that. I'm hoping that they have it as a part of their agenda because it's a very important issue for many Caymanians to feel that nationalistic feeling of seeing their own at the front lines. Mm-hmm. But I think there could be a level of hurdle in the way, because what we're talking about is visuals. We're talking about seeing Caymanians, and then we got to get into the narrative of what is a Caymanian, because a status holder is a Caymanian as well. And what we're finding is that a person you may think is not Caymanian is a Caymanian. You may see somebody who you may think is a Filipino because of the way their lighter colored skin and straight hair, and their eyes are what you call pointy eyes, as they say. But that person is a Caymanian, and you go, well, they haven't done it. So how do we know that it's being done? I mean, I don't think it's been done so far, because I haven't heard any initiatives for it, for the changeover. But for all we know at this point, without any facts behind it, they could all be Caymanian as we speak. Because there's no way to identify what a Caymanian looks like anymore. So I want us to be mindful of that, but I think that if the government is going to follow through with their promise on this topic, that they need to go ahead and say, listen, make the announcement, we have done it, or we're in the process of doing it, or whatever their position is, because it's something that Caymanians feel very sensitive about, so follow through. In respect to the second caller about a port not being in the North Sound, and this is much of the reason why I haven't suggested it before in my thoughts or in previous platforms, is because I know there's many people who are opposed to it, and for various different reasons.
And some very good reasons.
Well, I'm not sure if I
very good reasons.
Well, okay, there could be the element of the environment. There could be some other concerns about the Stingray City. But as I've done more and more research, I think there are just as much reason for debate in respect to the North Sound. It could be just the same amount of debate for out on the waterfront. So, and I think the biggest pusher in my mind for me is the potential for growth, because we're a growing nation and we're only at 63,000 right now. When we get to 200,000, you can't continue the port downtown. I tell you that. So I think that we got to think past that. And there's the natural harbor perspective. It's surrounded by land outside just the channel itself. And we have no other place on island that can do that. And I think the concerns that many people justifiably have can be rectified by way of science and by way of environmental reports to justify what needs to be done to put it there. And not only that, bearing in mind also, and OCU may be aware of this, that there's been much dredging in that area already. So there's a footprint, if I dare say, already outlined. If in fact you were supposed to have ships come in there, that they can just follow the footprint of where those dredging was already done. So it won't be any like new locations of dredging, and it gives you accessibility to practically a whole new location of industrial zones, as opposed to downtown with the cargo. And this is what I was talking about before we took the calls. Is my concern is that we're doing a twofold approach with the current proposal, being a cargo dock as well as a cruise dock. We are at 63,000 at this particular moment. We know that we're a consumption-based society. We produce probably less than 2% of what we consume in this country. So with that being in mind, when we get to 100,000, which is potentially very likely with the new legislation we passed about the president's legislation mandating certain registered companies to have somebody here.
Significant presence.
Substantial presence, which basically means you need to have an employee working in the Cayman Islands, not just
maybe more than one.
Or maybe more than one. So there's a potential chance that over the next year, we can see a skyrocket in our population. That means a skyrocket in our imports. That means larger space for importation. And I don't think that we're thinking about the long-term plan for when we get to 150,000 people, because it's inevitable. It may not be within the near future, but maybe 50 years from now, when our children, our grandchildren are in this environment, do we want to not have something planned for them so they're not in the situation we're in now, going where we're going to put the dock, or the question for the dock comes up. So and one thing I am certain of is that we just can't continue to expand out on the waterfront there, which is in the constituency where I represent, because eventually the bigger and bigger it gets, it changes the environment and turns it into more of an industrial look and feel. Because if you have 100,000 people, your imports are going to be larger. You're going to need a larger facility to deal with it. And then you're going to change the waterfront area, which is right in the center part of our capital, in our city town. You're going to change the area, rather than being a nice waterfront location with restaurants and tourists and all that, to now an industrial type of look. So I don't think we're thinking long term with this. Eventually, the cargo facility has to be moved from the location. It just can't work. We have our parliament there, we have our court system there, we have our national library, our museums, all the things that make our capital what it is there, and we're not planning for that. And that's the part I haven't heard from government, saying, okay, even if you expanded it, what's the shelf life of that expansion? Because we can't just continue expanding the same location, because that's not the prime location. Our Georgetown Central is our city capital. Mm-hmm. And it can't work hand in hand with cargo. It just doesn't look right.
Well, from a historical standpoint, what many people haven't taken into consideration, whether or not they even know this, but a study was done when the port in the mid-'60s, when the port was being built, as to where to put the port. Mm-hmm. And the decision was made based on that study that it would be in the Georgetown Harbor. Now, my suggestion, and it has nothing to do with scientifically or otherwise, but just looking at it from a practical standpoint, my position is enhance the sports jetty, because we know that that's the only one that we can use when we end up with bad weather. Enhance the Georgetown port facility to accommodate cruise ships as well as cargo, and build an additional cruise berthing facility at Northwest Point. What we have done then is we have basically spread
the value across and
the risk. The population, the numbers, we spread them across as well, because you don't all have to use spots only when there's bad weather. You can use it at a point in time. Yeah. We talk about employment situation. What does that do if you have 3 locations? More employment. We hear the taxis sometimes complaining about the competition between them. You've spread it out there, as well. You're going to need possibly more customs officers. Yes, the costs are going to go up, as well. But if the cruise industry and what we receive from the cruise industry is so lucrative, so much, then
it'd be marginal compared to the overall
exactly
benefit,
so. But that and I challenge anyone out there to tell me why that is not workable.
I must say that I agree with that theory. It might be actually a good one to have different options. You spread the value of opportunity across the islands. And if one area is bad, the other area is good. Ideally, I think it's a hard sell not to tell people to expand in the Georgetown Central area right now, because so much investment has been done there. But when you were speaking about that study, and the study was done a long time ago about the port.
Mid-'60s, yeah.
In the mid-'60s, right?
1965, around there.
But the thing about it is, for me, at that time, the investments into that zone were at as heavy of a level as it is now.
But they remember now, they came there after the port, so they should have taken into consideration at that point in time that is where the port is.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, but the government has done that. You're talking about private sector. Like, say, for instance, I'm going to use a business name, somebody who sells jewelry, right? You come and put all your money there, you got to realize it's going to turn into an industrial area, because that's where the port is. But the government has also put the public library, the court system, our parliament, our museum, and all of those things.
They were all there before. As a matter of fact, the courthouse was even closer to the dock.
Fair enough.
At that point in time, they were all there.
Yes, but
the Legislative Assembly building, built in 1972.
And that was at a time where we weren't structurally thinking about planning properly, right? Planning for what these zones are. And one would say, if you were to start over today, fresh and clean, you wouldn't put your parliament next to your dock, would you? No, it wouldn't logically make any sense. So what I'm saying is, if you're planning for the future, we have to plan for the eventuality of taking these two worlds away from each other, because one is industrial, one is historical and administrative for your district capital of your nation. And find, right at this particular point, I don't think many leaders have been thinking about that over the last couple of decades. But we have to start thinking about it now if leaders haven't done so before. We have to put a plan in place to eventually say cargo can no longer be in the central hub of the Cayman Islands. Now, at the end of the day, what we have, at least this is what the government has said, is they're under a time watch under the clock. You have the pressures of the cruise industry, according to them, saying, listen, get this thing done now. So maybe this is a Band-Aid approach. Okay, let's kind of expand the cargo for now, but they better have a plan to also say, okay, that's as far as that's going to go, because I don't want to be alive by God's grace 15 years from now, when the population has increased and they say, boy, we need a bigger space because we got so many people here and cargo is coming in so much, that they come back to the country and say, I need another $150 million to expand it again. So this is what I'm talking about, future planning. Ideally, if the government had said, listen, we're only doing just the cruise dock itself, and we are now planning for moving of the cargo, we would probably have a better chance of support by me, even though they don't need it because they have the numbers. But they would probably have a better success. What I'm seeing is, yet again, the government not thinking about 50 years down the line. You're only thinking about 20 years or potentially even 10 years before that needs to be renewed again. Same thing with the airport. You're hearing that we just spent so much money and people are saying it's still not big enough. When do we think over past 50 years or past 100 years? And I believe in my thoughts that the cargo part has to be start thinking about from now, whether by way of acquiring land, zoning the area before people start to build their homes next to it, or a hospital next to it, or what have you, so people know, listen, this is the long-term plan. Don't build here because this is eventually where the cargo is going to be. And we're afraid to execute that. But
it's also quite possible, sorry for interrupting, but it's also quite possible that the mode of transport will change in terms of cargo. You may find that the focus may be more on airline cargo than the shipping.
That's a good point.
But
whatever the plan is, let's start it. I mean, that's fine. And if that is a option, then that's good. I slightly doubt so, because the truth is, all of those companies who have invested millions and millions of dollars into that industry of water transportation, to say, okay, the country is going that different direction. Because the people who are invested in those things have power and control in this country too, politically and otherwise, right? So I slightly doubt you're going to have that flip over. So ideally, all I'm asking is future planning, not knee-jerk reactions, and we constantly do that. And I'm still concerned of, you've heard situations where the Honorable Premier has suggested by announcements, and I wish it wasn't him so I don't have to call his name, but has suggested transshipment downtown. What are you planning to do with the constituency upon which I represent? I don't want Georgetown Harbor to turn into an industrial area. Yes, we're doing cruise there, and we've beautified from a tourism perspective, and there's going to be the arguments as to too many cruise passengers, the traffic and all that. But I don't think we're doing enough justice to the discussion about the two different environments, which is, one is cargo and the other one is cruise tourism. And we're trying to muddle all two of them together without a long-term plan. So hence the reason I said the North Sound, because the North Sound gives you access to a lot of other property that is considered industrialized. Let's think about the Sparky Drive area. All of that is considered industrial zoning. And there's loads of opportunity there whereby access to in that area to create cargo facility, which would be even closer to the CDC, which is the Cayman Distribution Center of the cargo. So you take away that whole industrial behavior of trucks moving up and down. Right now, the current plan, and I think most people know this, is that the cargo that comes in, they deal with it at nighttime to avoid persons and passengers and pedestrians during the day, as well as traffic, right? But there's only so much time during the night. And eventually we're going to get to a level where we have so much imports because of the population demand that you're not going to be able to do all of that in the nighttime. It's going to have to jump into the day. So when that happens and you have to do work...
It depends on how you schedule the vessels, the arrival of the vessels.
Yeah.
You have more than one. But
okay. Well, anyway, that being said, even more things for us to examine. I just want to leave by saying we had a good discussion this morning about patriotism and the national flag. And I want you to be encouraged that regardless of what is being said, only together can we make our country proud and stand strong. So whatever our differences is, we have to work together. Don't be afraid to grab a flag. You need one. Carifta's coming up, and the kids need your energy and your support. So go ahead and do that. I want to thank you, OC, for allowing me to be on the show. Miss Susan, I appreciate every time I come here. And I want to say God bless all of you. Remember to love each other and love yourselves.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Brown, for being here as well. And again, thank you for ceding that time this morning, folks. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. John Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. And Cayman Pharmacy Group, with locations in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.